Hi, guys. Welcome to the Holy Shiftball podcast, where we have conscious conversation with all the wacky, funky, wild moments that you might experience in life. I'm Bethany, your host, and this is my co-host Sharon. And Sharon, who do we have today on the Holy Shiftball podcast?
Today, we have an amazing guest. Her name is Lori Creevay. She was once a comedian that made fun of all things woo-woo, chakras, you name it, crystals, she made fun of it. But then she had a holy shiftballs moment that changed her life. Now Lori's an illumined human that has upgraded from punchlines to psychic insights. Without further ado, let's bring on Lori Creevay to the show.
Hello.
Hello, Lori.
Hey. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. This is so
We're
fun.
excited to have you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And this is just this is like the perfect show, and it's so timely that you girls are doing this, because it's like we need to have that lightness in like all things woo-woo. Like it's like the path to ascension is don't take yourself too seriously.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I said that better myself. I mean, just to lighten up and laugh. Everything feels so constrictive and restrictive at this time, and just to be able to take a step back and just laugh at yourself for experiencing your holy shiftball moments and be like, oh my God, I cannot believe I went through that. But after coming out the other side of it, man, that was one hell of a shifting moment.
Yeah. Stepping in a big pile of shift.
I mean, yes.
Absolutely.
But the thing what you were just pointing to, Bethany, was like and I say this in all seriousness. This is the first time I'm serious in like 40 years. Now, I say it like it's the whole key to everything is keeping the frequency up, and laughter is one of the highest frequency things you can do. And it's like it literally will shift maybe the things that you're fearful about, or the things that you feel like a little intimidated by, or don't understand, like in the case of transformations like we're going to talk about today. But it feels very much like it's like the most important thing we can do is to actually inhabit joy, right? It's like
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Lori, would you say that everything is made of energy, frequency, and vibration?
170,000% only, I think.
Only.
Only.
Just a little room for doubt there.
It's all energy, and in a sense, like we are all creator having an experience of itself. So it's like the more and that sounds like a very lofty concept, maybe for some people who aren't familiar with that, but the fact that that is indeed how we change our world, because it is energy. And when you focus on that, what you focus on expands. And so whatever you focus on, it comes into sharper relief, so to speak. Right. And this is like, that's one of the big lessons too, is where do you want to put your focus? Kind of, it does tie exactly into where we started this conversation, where if you're not, if you are looking for the most uplifting, joyful experience, not doing a spiritual bypassy thing. And for people who don't know what that means, like spiritual bypass is one of the sometimes it's the thing that comes with, like, in the early parts of someone awakening. There's sometimes they think it's about, like, sort of looking a certain way. You're wearing the robes, you're buying the right kale. For God's sake,
Exactly. Got to get the right kale.
you're getting the right kale.
Don't get snowed on that.
Don't get that other one. But anyways, but it's like feeling your feelings. And ascension is actually, in my experience, it's more like descension, like you're getting into this body and the physical world experience.
Yeah, yeah. Lori, would you, this is what I like to tell my clients and people that I work with, is that what you think about is what you bring about, and what you bring about, you're going to experience. So it's, taking a deep dive into the mental body, what I call the mental body, the mindset. Are you allowing your mental chatter to just run off and just, woo, go create whatever wants? I don't care, and that allow your mind to just run free. You are then a victim of your creations, because you haven't taken the time to really harness what it is you're thinking about.
It is so what you're saying is so and I like it, the way you've just laid that out is in a rather simplistic or accessible way, because we can get very lofty about this. And I do hear a little bit of a feedback. I don't know if that's
there is some feedback going on.
So when you were just saying this is that which you focus on, you bring about it, right? And it's about like understanding, literally, when I said we are creator having an experience, that's why we even exist. Is it's having this unique experience as Bethany, as Sharon, as Lori, and it must have a real warped experience in here. So it's a very what can we say? It's super important that we understand that we are creating this, and literally you have to hold, in order for you to experience something in your world, in the world, what you call the world, is you have to be holding a frequency match in here. And so that can be a real dicey place for some people, because some people will say, but so and so did that to me, or they hurt me in such a way, or whatever, and they're responsible. Yes, in a sense,
No, they're not.
right. They're responsible for their actions, maybe, but we co-created that. And you cannot even have that experience unless you held the frequency match. Now, there is one other, like a little qualifier I would put around. You girls are probably familiar with, like we're in what they call an inorganic matrix or a false matrix. And it's a place kind of like, I think of it like a warped version of a fun house, where you're looking in distorted mirrors and you don't even see your beauty and your God self. And you're like, and the system prior to recent, this system is collapsing as we speak, that false matrix. We are more in the more, what I would call, we've stuck at least a little bit of our landing in that more utopic outcome. Like I can feel that in my bones. I don't know if you girls feel that. But it's like I can feel that positive movement, even though it looks like crazy town outside, Lily. Right?
Yeah.
But if we really understand that we're co-creating this, and that's a hard one. Like the thing about holding a frequency, then somebody might take that to a place when they say, oh, I'm broken, so I drew this, or I don't have a choice for something higher because I'm just wired weirdly. No, it can be like that. I mean, there are teachers out there like your Joe Dispendas and your whatever, all the guys, that teach that kind of thing where you move your frequency. And that's also part of what, if I may say that, it's part of what I teach when even though I come at it through a different, maybe there are other teachers who do this, but I come at it through the doorway of helping someone expand their consciousness by inhabiting their innate psychic gifts. And what that means in English. No.
Not the Queen's English, but the regular English.
Queen's English. You gotta have your teeth out like that.
For the regular folk.
Yeah. Like what that is we are all born with gifts, and we're in a system, both family systems and social systems and churchy systems and whatever it is, political systems that encourage us to not feel our divine nature. It's all wired, a lot of it is, it's not as accessible. Maybe you're one of those people who you dialed in parents who support your holistic nature, the fact that you are a soul having this experience. And in those cases, it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see when you see a child raised in that. But
And for the rest of us,
right, the rest of us, we have to box our way out of the illusion. And but the cool part is if we're in, like, if this is one of the back doorways I help people feel their own illumined human, right? Is to help them access the innate psychic gifts that they've either been categorically discounting or afraid of, or just kind of focused on everything but that, right? And when they do that, they're then coming back into their true nature, right? So as they walk through the world, they become a more seamless interface rather than the funhouse mirror thing. They can feel themselves. Does that make sense? So I put that up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Lori, what would be one of the biggest healing modalities to allow someone to, if they're in the fun house, they're in the mind all the time, what would be one of the biggest healing modalities that they could do right here, right now, to get more into the body?
That's an excellent question. And that's part of what, some of what, when I work with students, either one-on-one or in groups, I will give them what I call OM work. And it's what the homework they do to kind of get into this place. And there are simple ways. One is like it's really vital that you develop like a meditation practice, which sometimes sounds like, it sounds inaccessible to many people, or if they don't know.
Yeah.
But there are certain things you can do, simple things that can bring you into the place of no mind, like Bethany was talking about getting off the monkey mind, getting off that ride. And so like a simple one, and this is like an old, like Buddhistic one, is if you're sitting in a quiet place, you try to keep your spine upright, because sometimes laying down, you'll fall asleep, right? And you're there, and you kind of take 3 very deep breaths, right? So you would be taking it in, like making a sharp sound sort of with your nose, like, and hold it at the top for a count of about 8. And I do 1,000, 2, 1,000. And then you're releasing it. And release all the air out of your belly, and then hold it there. And then again, breathing in, and we're going to do it 3 times, breathing and holding. And releasing all the breath out of your belly. And one last time, we're going to breathe in deeply. Holding. 8 seconds. And releasing all the air out of your belly. Hold it a little bit. One last time. And now from that place, that helped us remove the tension. And if you hold your mouth just a little bit open, and your tongue is sort of resting in the bottom of your mouth, and you're there. So this kind of relaxes shoulder and neck. And from that place, it's a very simple statement. You're saying to yourself internally, there's a couple of them, but one simple one is, who am I? Who am I? And you're asking that inside. You don't have to say it externally. Who am I? You can say it out loud if you wanted to. And when you do that, the brain has no answer for that. So it sort of goes into dissonance, like cognitive dissonance, like it just goes offline. And then as you do that, and you just kept asking that, there's a silence that happens. You may experience that now. Maybe it'll take you, usually you can experience it pretty quickly, within minutes. The quiet. And that quiet place where the mind is offline is what we're seeking, right? And then the question sometimes people follow that up with, it's not necessary. If you got your effect right there, you don't need to go further, but you could even ask, who's asking? And what that means is, who's asking? Like when we say, who am I? Who's asking? It puts you in that place that is prior to the human self. It is the thing, the essential nature, our eternal essential nature that is prior to this incarnation, that actually chose the incarnation or the experience, or one might say the illusion of this incarnation.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Were you were you able to feel your mind go offline at all?
Oh, my mind goes offline randomly all the
She
time.
doesn't have. She doesn't have to. She
What
doesn't
mind?
have to do. Both of
Come
us,
on.
Sharon. We don't have to have an activity.
That's right. Between the two of us, we share one brain cell. So, you know, we're off the rails 90% of the damn time. Now,
But you know,
Lori,
but you know what I found so fascinating about this exercise, Lori, is that it brought me to the present moment. And isn't the present moment the where creation is made? Not in the past, not in the future, but in the now.
That
percent.
That's it. Like you just explained, like that's the whole, in that present moment, all potentialities exist because we're not, when we're in thought and in the mental body, we're polarized because it's all the mental body does. It's kind of like a funny little, it's a poser, right? And it's like, and it's like pretending to be you. And it's like all of its data is either from past experience or future fears, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I tell my
Lori,
clients. I'm like, thinking is stinking.
Exactly. And nothing,
well,
and nothing,
we've got nailed.
right, exactly. Thinking is stinking thinking. They used to say that in recovery programs, which I've been in. Thank you very much.
Get that shit mine out of here. Get that shit mine out of here.
Get that out of there. And then with the mental body, that it'll try and convince you that you need it, like you need it to weigh in on this and that, and to quantify and qualify your reality. And all it does is kind of limit your experience. It doesn't allow you to inhabit that magnificence, which is only found in that present moment, in that silence that is like, it's eternal. And wow.
You're having a moment.
I'm having a Shiftballs moment.
Shiftballs moments. We want to hear about your holy shiftball moment. We haven't heard about that yet, Lori. Come on.
Okay. I wanted to share. I
want to hear it.
So it's kind of hilarious. Like you guys know that I was in comedy. I do want to like just start with that. And then I had something really funny that happened in the last number of months that was like the most hilarious interdimensional thing I think probably to date that's happened. It was brief, but it was like very funny. So just to give a little backstory, I was in comedy. I was making fun of all this, which is kind of what you said in your intro. And I had like a a case of, what is it called? Death. No. um,
Reaper visited.
the Reaper visited. No. So I OD'd on purpose. I was suiciding, and happy, joyful conversations. And I did it, and I was like very
High
like,
vibing.
what's that? What's that?
High vibing.
High vibing. And then I died, and they revived me. They revived me, and I was like in a bit of an unconscious state for like about a week. And then all I know is I went somewhere. It was the most beautiful place. I was like so blissed out. I don't remember, like, it's like some people talk about the tunnel of light or whatever. All I remember is the feeling was like just and it was a sense of relief also from the suffering and the contraction of this world. And then when it took a little bit for me to get like everything was changing. I'm starting to hear, like, I'm hearing my guides. I'm driving my car alone, and they're talking to me, and I'm like, what is happening? But I'm hearing it with my physical ears. And I didn't understand that this is also what we learn in psychic development. But I didn't understand that you can dictate the rules of engagement, and you can also say, "Hey, this is freaking me out. Can you come a different way?" And now when I hear things, it's kind of uh, in like impressed in my consciousness, rather than I used to hear it like auditorily here. Sometimes I'll still hear that, but it's like impressed in my consciousness, and I can know who it is and the frequency of the voice. And sometimes even if it's just not even in an English language or whatever, or like my I I discern what it is, it's profound. And so given that, I realized, oh, I might have to stop all that drinking and drugs. It might have just caused my death. I'm not sure. But, let me think for a moment. And then I stopped all of that. And as I became sober, about a year in, my friend and I, she was also about a year sober, and we're sitting on the couch in my little apartment where I live alone. And I was like looking down the hallway, and I'm seeing this Native American chief and like a wolf. And I'm like, and like this ancient chief with all in white and everything. And I'm like, what?
Flashback.
And so I'm trying to figure out, why does the shoe rack in the hallway look like a Native American chief? And my friend, I go to her without saying anything. I say, what do you see in the hallway? She goes, oh, there's this Native American chief, and there's a wolf with him. And I'm like, it's a dog or a wolf. And we go like this, and he floats out into the fracking living room. And we were like I was going, okay, I live alone. I could feel he was benevolent, but I didn't even have a gauge for that back then. Like all I know is there's some strange person in my living room who's kind of translucent. And I was like, I'm trying to figure out, like, why is he here? And then it just said, could you figure out a different way to come here? And, like, I'm freaking out. Right. So anyways, and so then his name is Chief Great White Eagle. And he was a being that I ended up, after going to be taught by an amazingly gifted trance medium. I was in that class for about 2 years. And after that, I became a channel, a conduit for Chief. Like, he would do every reading. I had a channeling group for like 8 years consistently, weekly, where all these beings would come through. Mother Mary came through. I had a whale oversoul. That was another weird one. We'll talk about it in a second. With the whale oversoul thing was kind of hilarious. And when I studied with a teacher, it was a friend of so I had a friend who I met who would become my husband later, and he was so enlightened, he had so much light, and he had died 3 times in this life already.
Wow.
And actually, he wrote a book called Medium Rare: The Adventures of a Slightly Mad Mystic, because he was in we were both like in circuses and in comedy and all this stuff. And he goes, and so he found this teacher and we studied with him. And then at the end of the 2 years, after, there's like maybe 12 people left in the class, and a guide is in, like some master guide. Merlin used to come in, Milarepa, Yogananda, through this guy. It was amazing, profound.
Yeah.
And we, at the end of this, the class is ending. It's the last class, and they go, 2 of you will be doing this for a living. And they point to us, and we go, no, he's an acrobat and a magician, and I'm an actor, and we're not doing that. They go, we're not doing this, and they're like,
So,
and
so
then
Lori, so is that what you do for our, any of our audience members that might get excited and find resonance with what you're saying today? Do you assist people in communicating and connecting with their guides, their crossed over loved ones, spirit? I mean,
well,
what is it working with you look like?
So there's different layers, because as a medium, I can tune into people's, like, whatever their health. I ask them to, like a session, let's say in a personal one-on-one session, I ask them to tell me nothing. And I just do what I call a little look-see. And I connect in with their higher self and their I am presence. And then I begin to see what are the hot button issues, like what's going on, what is causing, what needs to be sort of have some attention or resolution in order to have them have a higher frequency experience, or you might say a more soul embodied experience, right? And so it can be granular too. Sometimes it's like people will come and say, I'm thinking of this house, and I'm getting, no, don't buy that house, or don't, or whatever it is. There's a lot of times health issues people call with that, but that, like a personal one-on-one session recently in the last year, a very cool new skill or ability, gift came on board. There was a whole thing that preceded that. And what it is I'm a conduit for divine frequency activation, relative specifically to activating people's highest soul trajectory, like with their divine service in this world, or their, what they're meant to do, right? So there are a lot of people out there, pardon me, there are a lot of people out there who are not, they can feel they're here to do something, but they kind of are banging around in it. So that has been something that is so potent.
That is, wow. Assisting them stepping into their purpose. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Yeah, their divine purpose.
Wow.
And it was chill. It was, I didn't even know it was in, like, a bunch of things. A few people did some healings. I accessed a certain stone that's been activating all this stuff. And I ended up doing these readings thinking I'm going the same, like, thing I've been doing for 30 years. And it just activated. And this was in a few cases, these beings they were very advanced, I would say, as beings, and both of them were stunned at the end. They were like, wow. So that really, like, that was like something like, oh, this is something, because you girls might know, like, when you have gifts and abilities, sometimes it's like water to a fish. Like, if you're an empath, you've got these gifts and you're profound, but you don't experience yourself as, like, you might be really moving and changing people's lives just by your presence. And it doesn't, you're kind of like, oh, really? That happened?
Last week, actually, Bethany was holding a class, and one of the ladies in the class was like blown away and taking notes, and it's information that Bethany and I just take for granted because that's where we live our life. But she profoundly changed this lady's life. It was incredible. It was very incredible. It was wonderful to watch.
Yes. Well, Lori, I would like to thank you so much for being on their show.
Yeah.
How can our audience members connect with you? Do you have a website? How can they book a call, get into a one-on-one session with you?
I do. And also I do private one-on-one mentoring with people. I didn't mention that. We do, like I call myself a mentor of modern mystics, because it's helping someone get in touch with their own mystical nature, their own gifts and so forth. And that's an option, as well as the group classes. And I have one coming up. It's like a 1-day intensive psychic development class, and it's called The Voice of the Soul. And that's all. This can be found on my website. So it's illuminedhuman.org. Excuse me, the illuminedhuman.org. And we can put maybe that in the notes or something, and get that chat.
We've got it down at the bottom.
Yep.
The divine frequency activation would be something, if you're interested in the thing I just mentioned, in terms of, that's what I'm calling it for now, divine frequency activation. And it's to really get online, get activated, not only get the information as to where you need to be, but to get activated in that, to have the cellular memory awakened in you about why you even incarnated in the first place.
That's a question I'd love to have answered.
Yeah.
What the hell did I do in there? Jesus, man.
Yes. Wow. What a fantastic show. Thank you so much, Lori,
Lori,
for being a part of the Holy Shiftball podcast today.
Oh, you are so very welcome. And I really, really enjoyed it. I love your energy, the laughter, and holding life lightly. What do they say? Angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. I love that.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you soon, Lori.
We will chat soon.
Blessings on your head.
Well, at least you didn't say off with the head. Oh, that was great.
Oh, wow, Sharon. What an amazing podcast today. Lori just blew us out of the water with some of that information. So who do we have next week on the show, Sharon?
Next week, we have Brian Parana. Brian is a fitness nutrition coach transforming lives one squat and kale smoothie at a time. Now he's actually expanded his repertoire and is starting to coach men, because behind every protein shake is a man wrestling with life's major questions. Like, he's Googling, what is toner after he's used his wife's skincare products? And is a dad bought a fitness goal? And why does IKEA furniture always have extra parts? These are burning questions men need answers to. So we'll find out all those answers next week when Brian's on our show. And remember, until then, when life kicks you in the balls, get ready for your Holy Shiftballs journey.
Thank you so much. See you next week. Toot toot.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.